Welcome to a lineup where the military faces the fastest and most unpredictable zombies ever put on screen. From secret experiments and fallen bases to special operations deep inside zones no one should survive, these films show what a real war against the infected looks like. Each title brings its own atmosphere, pace, and vision of the apocalypse, but they all share one truth. When the enemy moves faster than you can react, every second becomes a fight for your life. Stay until the end, because the final movie on this list looks absolutely insane.
I may bring joy.
Peninsula. 4 years after the fall of Korea, a handful of people have survived, and the entire peninsula has turned into an isolated zone full of rabid, fast zombies and violent gangs. Former soldier Jung Seok is sent on a mission to recover a valuable cargo that could change his and his companions' lives. What was supposed to be a simple operation quickly turns into a desperate struggle for survival as every step attracts hordes of infected, and people often prove to be more dangerous than monsters. Jung Seok encounters a family who, in this hell, are still fighting for normality and have not given in to despair. Their joint escape leads through ruined streets, nighttime chases, and chaotic clashes where there is no room for error. This is a story about guilt, courage, and a second chance at life in a world that no longer offers any guarantees. The Girl with All the Gifts. In a world ravaged by a mysterious fungal infection, humanity has lost almost every battle, and most people have turned into fast, uncontrollable hungries. At a remote military base, experiments are being conducted on children who were born with the virus but have retained their consciousness and ability to think. Among them is Melanie, who stands out as extremely intelligent, empathetic, and dangerous. When the facility is attacked by a horde of infected, Melanie, her teacher, a scientist, and a handful of soldiers flee into the ravaged British countryside. The journey reveals that the girl may be the key to the future of the entire species, but her existence raises a difficult moral question. Does saving humanity mean sacrificing a new, stronger world? It is a raw, emotional, and disturbing story where the line between monster and child blurs with every step. Day of the Dead, Bloodline. In an isolated underground military base, a handful of survivors try to maintain what remains of civilization, while the surface world belongs to aggressive, bloodthirsty zombies. Among them is Zoe, a young doctor searching for a way to create a vaccine. Things get complicated when Max, a former patient obsessed with her, now transformed into an unusual infected, appears in her path. Max has retained fragments of consciousness and displays unnatural intelligence, but at the same time he is driven by a thirst for blood. His appearance at the base leads to a series of brutal attacks that shatter the fragile security of the survivors. Zoe must decide whether Max is the key to a cure or a deadly trap leading to the destruction of everyone. This is a story of desperation, experiments on the edge of ethics, and the struggle for survival in a world where every decision can end in death. Overlord. A few hours before landing in Normandy, a unit of American paratroopers is sent on a mission to destroy a German radio tower in occupied France. After their plane is shot down, a handful of soldiers find themselves in a village where things begin to happen that go far beyond the realities of war. In an underground laboratory, the Germans are conducting brutal experiments, creating unkillable soldiers, deformed superhuman beings driven by pain and fury. As the heroes discover the scale of the project, their mission turns into a fight to stop something that could change the fate of the world. Escaping through dark corridors, nighttime clashes, and growing chaos shows that the greatest nightmare is not war itself, but what man is capable of doing in its shadow. And now a question for the audience.
Before we go any further, answer me one question. In the event of a zombie apocalypse, you always have to choose a path. Which entrance would you take?
Number 1, the entrance to a dark subway tunnel. hear footsteps inside. Something is moving down there, and once you go in, there is no turning back.
Number 2, the entrance to an abandoned hospital. Red lights, broken doors, I hear screaming inside, and whatever is in there is not dead.
Number 3, the entrance to a collapsing warehouse. I hear something running in the shadows. The whole place is coming down.
Number 4, a burned out bus in the middle of the road. No cover, no escape. I hear them coming from every direction.
Now choose. Type the number. But don't stop there. Tell me why you picked it. Because in this world, your reason decides if you live or die. Number only means nothing. Explain your choice, or it's the wrong one.
Valley of the Dead. During the Spanish Civil War, soldiers on both sides of the front are thrown into a situation that no one was prepared to face. Behind the lines, the fascists deploy a secret weapon, an experimental gas that, instead of weakening the enemy, turns people into fast, violent zombies that attack anything that moves. Enemies who were shooting at each other just moments before suddenly have to work together to survive in a world where the logic of war no longer makes any sense. Their journey through the ravaged Spanish countryside becomes a chaotic mix of battles, ambushes, and desperate attempts to understand how to stop the plague. It turns out that the real enemy has no political colors or uniform, and the only chance for survival is to suspend hatred. Valley of the Dead is a dynamic mix of black humor, action, and zombie horror set in one of the darkest chapters in history. Operation Undead. At a remote, frozen military base, an accident occurs during an experiment with a secret serum designed to enhance soldiers' abilities. Instead of improving performance, the substance causes a violent mutation, making those infected fast, aggressive, and completely immune to pain. As the virus spirals out of control, the isolated facility becomes a trap, and a handful of surviving soldiers and scientists must fight their way through snow-covered corridors filled with rabid, unstoppable creatures. As the chaos escalates, it becomes clear that there was more to the project than meets the eye, and that someone deliberately concealed the risks. Escaping the base turns into a desperate race against time, because if the infected get outside, the consequences could be global. Operation Undead is a combination of military survival, winter horror, and science fiction, in which man once again becomes a victim of his own ambitions. World War Z. The world descends into chaos when a mysterious infection turns people into fast, rabid creatures that attack anything alive within minutes. Former UN investigator Gerry Lane is forced to return to work to save his family and find the source of the pandemic that is spreading like wildfire. His journey takes him through deserted cities, besieged countries, and laboratories on the brink of collapse. Each stop reveals new stages of the crisis, including mass panic, the collapse of governments, and military impotence against hordes that act as a single organism. Gerry races against time, trying to understand the nature of the virus and discover a way to give humanity even a temporary advantage. This is a story about the global unleashing of the apocalypse, in which one man must find a solution in a world that is literally falling apart before his eyes. Before we move on, pause for a second. Write a comment right now without overthinking it. Do you enjoy my zombie and post-apocalyptic productions? If I see a lot of comments, I'll create a full zombie movie like no one has ever done before. No compromises, no copying, something truly new. Drop a comment and let's see how many of you want more. And now let's move on to the promised film, Frontline. In February 2020, Japan sees its first patient infected with an unknown virus, and within days, everyday life descends into growing chaos. Hospitals begin to overflow, equipment is in short supply, and doctors and paramedics work to the limit of their endurance as they try to understand what they are actually facing. Frontline shows these events through the eyes of 4 men from different backgrounds whose lives suddenly find themselves on the front line of a global crisis. One observes a dramatic increase in the number of patients, another faces growing panic among residents, and the others make decisions that affect the safety of entire communities. It is a raw, emotional picture of the first days of the pandemic, before the world understood the scale of the threat. The film reminds us what it was like to face an invisible enemy when fear, uncertainty, and responsibility became part of everyday life for those on the front lines.